So what does any of this have to do with homework? Well, homework is sitting right now at the same spot. And that it's been the traditional way of assigning homework. The entire class gets the same pages or the same assignment. In fact, it was about 15 years ago in our school district when Carol Ann Tomlinson visited, and back then the big buzzword was differentiation. And by the way, that buzzword hasn't left the district. It's still important to differentiate. So Carol Ann Tomlinson, a guru in that area, she came out and she in-serviced many, many teachers and leaders in the district on how to differentiate instruction. But when I think back to her visits, at no time did we talk about homework. And so teachers may have been changing what they were doing in the classroom, but when it came to homework, for the most part, they were still assigning the same activity. And so hopefully today, when you leave here, you'll understand that we need to change up how we're doing homework and differentiate our homework assignments. One of the core pieces of research that our committee, and we have a committee of principals and superintendents to examine the whole topic of homework, looked at, was called this. It's called a systemic review of literature examining the impact of homework on academic achievement, and it was done by the Canadian Council of Learning. And I mentioned to you before the story of this book and how it was published in August. Well, the gods were smiling on me because this report was published in May. And so everything kind of came together, a perfect storm of homework information for us to look at. And in this particular study, what they did is they started by doing an internet search of the topic, and they came up with approximately 2,000 different hits for the term homework, or the word homework. And then what they did is they started to do some comparison, some analysis, and they noticed that a researcher who may have had a story published in the Journal of Education had the exact same article published in the Journal of Psychology. And so they cross-referenced, they narrowed it down, and at the end of the day they came up with about 100 key articles or findings that they used to summarize what we know about homework. Now, of those 100, there were about 20 that were rooted in quantitative research. You see, there's a lot of people out there that have lots to say about homework, lots of opinions about homework, and in fact, the opinions differ on the spectrum from one end to the other. There's a gentleman, Alfie Cohen, who speaks quite regularly on the topic, and a lot of what he shares is his gut feelings on homework. He tries to bring in some research, and so if you have an opportunity, definitely check out his stuff. We will have a bit of time today to listen to a short video clip related to it. But before we do that and get into the homework, let's just do a little survey here to see where we stand in relation to homework. And if you look up here on the big screen, we have a plus sign and a minus sign. Plus sign representing in favor of homework. Minus sign meaning opposed to homework. And so because our group is kind of squished like sardines in the room today, we're going to ask these 4 tables right here to participate. And so in a moment, you're going to stand and you're going to come up to the front of the room. If you're in favor of homework, and I want you to think of yourself, you're a teacher, right? You're a teacher. So if you're in favor of homework, you're going to stand over here. If you're kind of against homework, as a teacher, you're going to go stand down there. If you're not sure, in the middle. Please be careful, don't trip on the cords. Everyone on these 4 tables, stand and position yourselves in the line. Okay.
I got a question. In my opinion, it depends what level we're talking about, elementary, junior high, senior high.
Excellent.
It could be anywhere.
Yeah, that is a very good point. But right now we're just speaking in generality. And what we're going to do is we're going to call upon 3 speakers. So in a moment, I'm going to ask one person from this section to tell us kind of why you chose there.
Important. I don't think that it needs to be done every day. I don't think it needs to be done with every student, but I don't think we should absolutely take it off the table. I think it does serve a purpose. As a second language teacher in the immersion school, it is important that the kids have that time to practice and that develop that skill to be able to accomplish a task. You send them home with something to do, they do it, it helps responsibility and whatnot. So it's
that we have about the topic. We kind of did is we investigated 21st century learning and set kind of the frame for where homework could fit into this bigger picture. We've looked at, examined our own beliefs on homework. I briefly showcased to you one of the foundational studies from the Canadian Council on Learning for Homework. up here on the screen, I wanted to review with you what our district committee has defined homework. We support the definition of homework that's in the Canadian Council on Learning's report, and it is this: any task assigned by school teachers intended for students to carry out during non-school hours. People always ask me, is reading homework? And our answer from a committee perspective is no. Reading is something that should be like watching TV. We should be doing it for enjoyment. We also need to take a step back and examine in Division 1 when our teachers are sending home reading programs where children count the minutes and record the minutes. I think we need to take a step back and think about that as well. And as a parent, one of the things I've observed, and I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but as a parent, what I've observed is my own children, they'll read for their 10 minutes because that's what the teacher has requested that they do, and then they're done. And they're watching the clock. And I think it's more an exercise in math than it really is in reading. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I still think that we need to kind of figure out, like, how do we make kids just read for the love of reading, just like they watch TV or play a video game, than reading to count the minutes. Let's get into some more research in the packages that I gave you today. If you open it up, you'll see on the back of the title page, there is the district's current homework policy for your information. The next page is a photocopy of this foundational report for you, and I've included an internet link so that you can, if you wanted to read the whole report, you could find where it is on the internet. And then if you flip over to the next page, you'll see it says Homework Research Notes. And there's a big letter A on one page and a big letter B on the other page. What I'd like you to do is at your table assign, it's best if you work with a partner. So one person is the A and one person is the B. Take a few minutes to read the page, and then once you've done reading the page, you need to teach the other person what was on your page. And you probably won't have enough time to teach them everything, so when you're reading it, think of the key ideas. Does everyone understand the activity? Okay, go ahead and sort it out, and you can start reading. Thank you. And thank you. I wish I could let you go on and continue the conversations, but I have to interrupt because we need to get to the real meat of the matter, and time is of the essence. Sean has told me that I have until 2:45. So this activity was essential to kind of build your background understanding in relation to homework. And if I was to kind of wrap that section up, here are a few things that I wanted to share with you. There's not a lot of research out there to support the benefits of homework in elementary or junior high. There's research that supports the benefits of homework in high school, but there's also research out there that shows children in high school that are doing more than 2.5 hours of homework per night are seeing a decrease in their achievement. And that kind of makes sense. Any child that's spending 2.5 or more hours doing homework every night is probably exhausted and tired and has a hard time performing during the school day. Okay? Now, when I was up in Edmonton in the fall attending an Alberta Assessment Consortium conference, I attended a session there with some of my colleagues, and it was done by a branch manager of Alberta Education. And they were highlighting another piece of research that I wanted to bring to your attention. It was done by a gentleman named John Hattie, who is from New Zealand, and his study was Visible Learning, a synthesis of over 800 meta-analysis relating to student achievement. Basically, what he did is he looked at about 140 instructional strategies, or strategies that could be utilized to increase student achievement, and homework was one of them. So I want you to think for a moment. Out of 140 strategies, where do you think, and he rank ordered them, like number 1's the best, number 140's the worst, where do you think homework fell? And here's your choice. In a moment, I'm going to ask for hands. Hand up if you think it'll be at the beginning, middle of the pack, or at the end of the road. So how many people in here think it's near the end of the road? Okay. How many people think the middle of the pack? How many people think near the front?